All right, I'm here with presidential advisor and former mayor Mitch Landrieu. Thank you so much for being with us. We
Hey,
appreciate it.
Dan. Great to be with you.
Hey, couple really big pieces of legislation signed into law this week. The Inflation Reduction Act, which provides billions of dollars to fight climate change, among other things. There was also this CHIPS bill, a bipartisan piece of legislation that Republican Senator Todd Young, among others, had pushed for here in Indiana. He was at the bill signing. These bills certainly have a big price tag. What kind of impact will they have on our economy, in your view?
Well, the senator was there today, and the president gave him a shout out and then said he hoped they didn't get him in trouble. But the president is always trying to work across the aisle, and he was happy to have bipartisan support in this very important piece of legislation that's going to put America in a place to win the 21st century as it relates to a number of very important things. And this bill, even though it's called the CHIPS Science and Technology Act, it's pretty simple. Everybody knows now after COVID, when they couldn't get their hands on things that they wanted, one of the reasons was because one of the component parts, which is called the microchip, our semiconductor microchip, we couldn't get it because it was made overseas. And everybody said, why do they make stuff overseas? Why don't we make it here? This bill fixes that problem in a big way. And as everybody knows right now, we're in the midst of a manufacturing boom. The president has created over 650,000 manufacturing jobs here, high-paying jobs for folks here as part of the 9.5 million jobs that he's created since he's been president, which is a record, by the way. But this bill turbocharges that and basically says, look, we're going to take our own future into our hands. We're going to compete with the rest of the world. We're going to bring all that stuff home. We're going to manufacture those microchips in the United States of America, with products that are made in America by people in America with jobs that are really high paying. So what this is going to do, going to protect us on our national security. It's going to make more goods available to us that we can have because they're made here, which means you're going to ease up the supply chain. And when you do that, you're going to lower the cost. You're going to create high paying jobs, and we'll be off to the races.
Kind of rare these days to see a bipartisan bill like the CHIPS bill in these very divided times, and perhaps even more divided now, whether it's, the recent abortion ruling or this news of the raid at Mar-a-Lago this week. There are a lot of political factors at play that don't always lend themselves to bipartisan cooperation.
Well, I think that's right. But you remember when the president ran, he said, I know how to bring people together to get big things done. And when America's come together, we actually can do things that people, said that we couldn't. So you mentioned a couple of things like the Infrastructure Act that was passed, the American Rescue Plan that was passed, the bipartisan infrastructure law, which I'm responsible for overseeing, was a bipartisan bill, and that's going to fix people's roads and bridges. It's going to make the airports better. It's going to give everybody access to high-speed internet, clean water, and then really kind of move us into a clean energy future. Yesterday, the Inflation Reduction Act was another down payment on that. And then, of course, today you have the CHIPS Act. So when you look at this arc of accomplishments that President Biden has made when people left him for dead politically, you never count the guy out. I mean, he is really a guy that epitomizes what perseverance is, and he has used his power to bring the people of America together and to create high-paying jobs and to lower people's costs. And he has been hugely successful. When you add all of those things up and you look at that run that has just taken place in the 24 months, it's going to measure up historically as one of the most effective 24 months any president's ever had.
What about the other big news item this week involving the former president, that raid at Mar-a-Lago involving former President Trump? Do you have any early reactions to that bit of news?
I can't comment on that at all. That is a matter for the Department of Justice, and I have no knowledge about it.
Okay, certainly something a lot of people are watching closely this week in the midst of everything else happening there in the nation's capital, with a lot of legislation and a lot of news this week at the state and federal level. Mitch Landrieu, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Great talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yep. Bye-bye.